Hey there, fellow entrepreneurs. I'm Sue, and you've just stepped into Entrepreneurs Gone Wild. Every week, I'll introduce you to a friend of mine, a remarkable entrepreneur who's not just changing the world, but also harnessing a secret weapon, time outdoors. Together, we'll dive into their journey, unpack invaluable business advice, and discover why embracing the wild is not just good for the soul, but also a goldmine for inspiration and innovation. Ready to uncover the secret that's boosting bottom lines and fueling joy? Hit subscribe and join us in the wild. Alrighty. I'm going to start the intro. Here we go. Welcome back to Entrepreneurs Gone Wild, Wildlings. I have a really great surprise for you today. I have Jonathan Garces all the way from South America, and this is really cool. We're new friends, and I have no idea what he's going to say, but we're going to dive right in. Hey, Jonathan, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here. Thank you. Thank you.
This is so cool. I love that. I mean, what a great time, you know, like the internet, your parents all these years were like, don't talk to strangers. Now we're talking to strangers all the time. It's great. Become friends. This is great.
Crazy.
So where in South America are you?
I am in Colombia, Medellín. So one of the most popular tourist spots that like you walk outside American, you walk outside Canadian, you walk outside European. So it's like filled with like a mix of everything.
That's great. I love it. My former sister-in-law is from Colombia. She's amazing. I love, from her describing, times when she was little and growing up there, I'm like, oh man, that's so cool.
I love it.
That's really awesome, man. All right. Well, cool. Let's just dive right in. Talk to me a little bit about what was your life like before the entrepreneur bug bit you?
Sure. I was looking at the question and I thought deep about this, and I could confidently, like, I've always, since 14 years old, I've been an entrepreneur. Like, I was that kid selling candies outside of my backpack in the cafeteria. I was selling the pizza, like whatever I can get my hands on to make a quick buck. At like 14, 15, I was that kid. I was that kid doing that in the bathrooms at any point I could during school. And so I did. And so probably my first one was, I think I was 16, and I had discovered what Alibaba was. Right?
Oh, no. That's dangerous.
And so I had bought at the time these Apple colored headphones. These are the same ones they sell at gas stations, right? And so I remember exactly what it was. I paid $110 for 100 units, and I sold each one for $5 a piece. And I sold out within like a week. And that right there was like, whoa, like what is this? Like, what is like a business? And that pretty much kicked off the entire thing. But ever since then, I've always had that mindset of wanting to do my own thing. And now for the past, it's going to be in 1 month in 2 weeks exactly, it's going to be 1 year since I've been on my own full time.
That's really cool. Oh my gosh. All right, now what spurred this? What was that itch you had to, I got to be an entrepreneur?
It was, sure. So I was working a job prior, and a buddy of mine, we had started like freelancing a little bit, like building websites and doing that sort of stuff, like typical freelance stuff. But I was also working my 9 to 5. And then it was a startup, so it kind of went haywire. And so people got laid off, and then I was the only one left. I was like, I don't want to do this. I didn't like the environment. And so I was like, you know what? Let's do it. And so at the time, I had a chance to go to Germany. And so I quit my job, which was in person in Miami. And then a week later, I was living in Germany. And I went full haywire on the freelancing thing. I worked 12 hours a day, 13 hours a day to get it off the ground. I had a bit of savings, tiny bit, but like nothing sustainable at all. And just like worked like a madman while I was in Germany. And it paid off. We got a little runway and just kind of took off from there.
That's amazing. What drove you for that? There's usually, this is an unusual life course to take, all things considered. You look around the globe and
the traveling thing I had started prior when I was working my 9 to 5. I was like, it was post-COVID. I was living in New York. I had left my lease, go back to live with my parents. I was like, I want to travel for like a week and see what happens. First time ever traveling, first time ever going outside the country by myself. And I go to Colombia because my family's from here, and so I like my origins are from here. And came for a week. I stayed for a year and a half. and absolutely literally stayed. My intentions were a week. I stayed for a year and a half, and that's when I got the bug to travel. And then since then, just been trying to traveling the globe a little bit.
That's so cool. I mean, travel is a huge motivator for a lot of people because
Oh my
you
God.
can't work a brick and mortar job and
Yeah,
travel.
you can't. And a lot of people think it's impossible, like it's super expensive to travel when in reality it's like you can make it happen. And so that's
Yeah.
what I've been doing ever since then.
Oh, yeah. So what happened during that, when the week became a year plus? Was there some thought that was like, I can't go back to that. I got to do this.
100%, because prior to that, my parents were living in Miami, South Florida. I was very comfortable. I had friends. I had like it was everything I've known. But then they had moved to Tampa, and or not. So it's 30 minutes outside of Tampa, which is called Lando Lake. So it's very like
There's nothing there.
nothing there. There's absolutely nothing there. And I was there for a week. I was like, I can't live here. I cannot live here. And so that's what I literally just was like, I need a break. And so I went to Colombia and just stayed. I stayed I stayed for a year and a half.
That's great.
And I was like, I cannot go back. I have to make this work. I can always get a job, but like, I do not want to go back to live with them.
Yeah.
I love them to death. I have a
Oh, yeah.
great
But Land O'Lakes, I mean,
relationship.
I think of retirement.
Yeah,
You're a young guy. That's not.
The closest gas station is like 15 minutes away. And me coming from New York City, because I lived there like 2 years. I lived like in Times Square and like those areas. So I'm like, I cannot go back to this.
No.
And
You would be
that's
like,
hard. Yeah,
what is going on? There's nothing going on here. This is
zero. So
Yeah.
no.
I mean, someday when you're older, who knows? It might be like, yeah, I want rural life. That's where I'm at. But, when you're young, you kind of want like, hey, let's go do things. And
100%.
that's cool, man. All right. So that's kind of cool. Now, you must have had some hurdles though, when you first like, okay,
Of course.
I got to do this on my own. I gotta make a business go. Tell me about a couple of hurdles that you went through and how you got through them.
So up until that point, until I moved to Germany and moved to Germany, quit my job within like that same week. I've always had like a job and side hustle. So everything I've done was always like a side hustle. This was the first time like I was fully on my own, no safety net, no like paycheck every 2 weeks. I was like, I have to figure this out. And so like obviously churn, part of running a business is normal. Like clients leave you, their budgets change, and so like that is like a hurdle you have to get over. And so like you just have to, I learned that you have to consistently be trying to find new clients, build the best relationships possible. And so those are the types of hurdles I had to get over, and more so the mental hurdle of like you don't have something coming in that's fixed every 2 weeks.
Yeah,
It's like,
that's for
you
sure.
never know what's gonna happen, so you just have to like stay on the ball.
Yeah, it's
That's
a little
why-
nerve-wracking.
What? Yeah, it keeps you on
How
your
did
toes.
you handle that? What'd you do?
Worked a lot. So a few people would call me a workaholic, right? So I'm very comfortable working 10 hours a day, 11 hours a day. But like when I relax, I don't do anything at all. Like I'll either go
It's
like
either on or off, right?
yeah. Like I'll have these sprints. Like I live next to like a mountain, so like I'm surrounded by
wow.
mountains, and so I'll go for like a hike. I love walking through nature. Maybe pick up and go travel for a weekend, but like that's kind of how I balance it out.
That's pretty cool. That's awesome. So you're like in pure hustle mode. Where are you now with your business? What are you doing and how's it going?
So up until recently, I was running a blog with a friend that became pretty successful. That I think does about 180,000 monthly visitors. So we were building that at the same time while we were trying to do freelancing.
Wow.
And so that grew. And so I wanted to do something different. And my background is sales, lead gen, biz dev. That's been my world. I was an SDR, a sales rep for a few different companies prior to this. And I still do that on the side. Like I consult for like other companies on that specific side of things, but it's not like what I'm passionate about. It's not like I'm good at it. I can get paid for it, but it's not like it'll drive me. So I'm like, what's something completely left field that I have zero expertise in, but I could still like grow, get clients with this specific skill. And I was like, maybe recruiting, maybe staffing, like maybe podcasting. I'm like, podcasting sounds cool. You're just connecting hosts with like a client and like a guest. And I started looking into it. I'm like, oh, this is like a legit business, like where you get people on podcasts, and pretty large businesses, in fact. And there's a lot of people that do this. And I did more research. And then I crafted up an email campaign and I had 2 clients within a week. And
That's great.
I was like, okay, there's something here. There's absolutely something here. And so fast forward 4 months later, I think we're at like 20 clients, about to hit 20 clients, ranging from mental health care founders, personal wellness coaches, executive coaches. I'm just started working with an ex-NFL player who helps men realize their potential. Like, it's all over the place of the type of people I work with.
That is so cool. How interesting too.
Yeah, it's super niche, right? So how often do you get asked or emailed of like, hey, do you want to get on podcast?
Yeah.
It's very niche, which I very much enjoy.
Yeah, that really is. That's so awesome. And so can you share a little bit about like, what's that been like learning how to fulfill on that?
Sure. So the fulfillment's interesting because everyone's different, right? They're going after, some have different requirements. So some only want to go after in-person podcasts that are the best of the best. And you have to navigate when that client isn't at that caliber, right? So a lot of these people,
like Joe Rogan's not going to have you on yet. Sorry.
Exactly that. And so a lot of these people want to get on the best of the best, but it's like, you haven't posted a piece of content in over a month. Like, so it's hard finding that balance, but then every now and then you come across clients like, okay, this could work. But some are mostly very cool about who they want to go on. They're just like, I just want video content to post on LinkedIn. I just want to meet new people. That's kind of their goals. And it's hard to navigate when a client approaches and they're like, hey, I want leads or direct business from this podcast. I'm like, I can't promise you that. Like, the attribution isn't there. It's like, you can't measure how many leads you're going to get out of this number of listeners, or you don't even have access to the number of listeners for each podcast.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's so funny. Like, you can't sell it for them.
Yeah, right? Like, it's like, I can't control how interesting you are on this podcast.
I love that.
It's true.
Active life, guys.
when I do lead gen, when I do the email lead gen for them, I'm like, hey, yeah, you probably get like 3 leads out of these 500 people you contact. It's something measurable. With podcasts, it's like, you just have no idea.
That's it. Yeah. Oh,
so
man.
It's navigating the waters for each type of person.
Yeah. Oh, that's so wild. So you've got like 20 clients here. What's your workday look like? Like, what kinds of things do you have to do to make this work?
Sure. So I'm a very morning person. So I'm up around 6:30 naturally. I haven't used an alarm clock for the past like 4.5 years. And so I'll first thing I do is check my email when I wake up. Like, first thing I do. I know people say, don't do it, don't get up.
I know, I'm going, no, don't do that.
Yeah, and the first thing I do is check my email, check my messages. Cool, any fires, any clients telling me they hate me, or like any of that stuff. Cool, nothing. Okay, I'll go make breakfast, probably walk my dog around the balcony because he can't go out yet. He doesn't have his vaccine.
He's a baby.
Yeah, he's a baby. And then I'll probably sit down. I'll see what leads my sales guy conversed with. I'll see how many clients my outreach guy outreached to. Everything's in order, and then I have my to-do list for the day from the night prior. It's like, okay, well, I'll tackle this, and this, and this. That's pretty much it.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and then I'll take a break around 3. I'll go grab lunch, or I'll make lunch, and then back to work around then, and then I'll probably work until like 7:30.
Yeah.
And then I'll probably just take it easy. Yeah.
That's good. I mean, now in Colombia, I think the nightlife starts around like 9 at night, right? 9 or 10?
Yeah, there's a lot of nightlife here, but I got that out the way the first year.
Good. Okay. It doesn't go well with the up at 6:30 without an alarm.
Yeah. Definitely not. Yeah.
That's wild. And you've got team. This is fantastic. You've learned something huge where you could do all this stuff yourself, but you've already mentioned a couple team members, and that's fantastic. Yeah.
Funny enough you say that. So I know how to generate the leads, right? So I know how to get people interested, but that requires like time to reply to them, time to nurture that conversation, and time to get them to the meeting. Mm-hmm. And so I was just losing on tons and tons and tons of opportunities because I wasn't, 1, replying fast enough. 2, many cases I just wasn't replying because I missed it because of all the conversations starting. I'm like, I need help. And so I'm a big fan of hiring people from the Philippines. It's it's probably something we've gotten pretty good at over the past like year. Most of our writers are from the Philippines. And so I went on there and I looked and I hired one person, took a gamble, and then within like a week, my calendar was absolutely booked with meetings. And so all he's doing is just replying. All he's doing is is talking to these people, and he knows how to get the meetings booked, and it's been working amazingly well so far. And then I have another guy who he actually reaches out to the podcast. He researches every podcast. So he'll be like, hey, Susan, I noticed you had Jonathan on your podcast last week. I have another client, Kevin, who is just like Jonathan, who can talk about XXX. Would you love to have him on? That's how like it literally conversation starts. And he does that all day long. That's
amazing. And are these conversations happening on social media or email or?
Mostly email. So there's two platforms I use to acquire clients and talk to clients. It's LinkedIn and email. Those two, like those are the main two channels.
Beautiful. You got a good system going. I love that. Right. And then your team, are they salaried? Are they commission? How do you work that?
So salary, yeah, they're fixed salary for the month. I just found it to be easier that way, not to track too many hours in the beginning. We'll see, depending on what commission looks like in the near future. Maybe that's an opportunity that he wants to explore, but for now it's salary.
That's great. And especially, hiring from the Philippines, I've done that before as well. The cost of living is so much less that salary expectations are way lower. And, you can typically find somebody. I think I've had virtual assistants, it was years ago, but for, $200 a month or something.
Yeah.
They were thrilled. And I was like, all right, this works.
You can find quality people, right? And then they can reply all day. I love them. They're amazing people. I can't wait.
Wonderful.
Beautiful country as well.
Yeah. No, that's great. And the, conversational English is perfectly fine. I always wanted so much as a owner of a writing agency. I would have loved to have been able to outsource the writing, but it just never.
Right. So we definitely play a premium on the people we have write for us, but quality writing we found, and it's a lot of work to. Let's say you put out a job post, you might get 300. You see this on LinkedIn itself. You put out three job posts. Each of them have 400 applications. Out of those 400, maybe 20 are qualified. Out of those 20, it's that you maybe have talked to 5. Out of those 5, you talk to 1. So it just takes so much effort to finding the right person.
Yeah, it does. I've found that anywhere, but yeah, that's a lot to sift through. But that's great. You've been so smart to start that from the start, because you're not falling into that habit of, I've been working 18-hour days for 12 years. I'm dead.
Yeah. And it's just I realize how much opportunities I'm missing. I'm I'm not replying fast enough. I'm taking hours or even a day to reply to these leads, versus you have to reply immediately. Yeah. And that's the key. He's been on it. He's amazing.
That's fantastic. I love that. That's really cool. All right. So what's the plan going forward?
I need to get better at passing it, automating when the client signs on. How do they get notified? Because I want to bring in more and more clients, but if I bring on, it's going to break. Everything's going to break.
So scalability is a thing. Yeah.
Now I'm trying to figure out, okay, cool. What automation can I set into place that notifies him automatically if a new client onboards? What can I add to this Airtable? Can I create this Airtable automatically? How can I cut off a few steps out of the entire process to make it seamless? And pretty much, how do I make this super simple and have it be the same service for everybody? It's just repeatable process. This is what it is. This is what you have to do. This is your lane. Do not step out this lane. And those are the process I'm in the process. Those are the process I'm in the works of streamlining.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. That's so good that you're spending this time to work on the business. You're not just in it. I mean, there are people that go decades in their business without figuring that out. So.
Yeah, I don't want to be in a race of constantly putting out fires, or this person needs. It's you have your SOPs, you have your knowledge libraries, you have your resources to turn to if you have questions, you have each other to turn to if you have questions. So that's the culture I want to build.
Yeah. I like that. Now I have to challenge you on something now.
Sure.
If you're up for an experiment.
Sure.
So, that thing about first thing in the morning, checking your email.
Yeah.
What if you spent the first 5 minutes, no screens, outdoors on your porch, maybe some coffee, looking at the mountain, don't do anything, and then go check all your stuff?
100%. And I do that sometimes, but then I'll just pull up.
Yeah. It's a habit. Yeah, it's a weird habit, and then so don't even take your phone out there with you, because it's hard to avoid it.
And I have I don't know if you can see, but it's a beautiful view. It
is
right there, balcony. I have chairs. I have a little table.
That's amazing.
I have zero excuse at all not to do that. But yeah.
And the weather's gorgeous all the time.
Oh
So
my God, yeah. It's like a cool 60, 65 at all times.
it's
What
so
about the
perfect. I spent some time in Guatemala. That was the thing. I was like, I'm going to be outdoors all the time here.
yeah, here it's like they call it the eternal spring, right? So it's like springtime
Yes.
all year round.
That's what they said in Guatemala. I think, copyright infringement.
Who's first? Yeah, that's funny.
All right. Oh man, because what I find, because I used to do the same thing, and I found that I was habituating to looking for problems, and I found, in a sense, like when you're looking first thing because you're afraid, like you said, like what if a client hates me today, or what if this, what if that, it
sets
just
the
it
mood for your day.
activates. Yeah, it activates this anxiety level that you don't need, and you're doing
Oh,
great. Your clients are loving you,
so something I forgot to mention that probably changed my life completely. And this is kind of random, but for the longest I was chunky. I was a little chunky,
Mhm.
right? It's because I was always like, I don't have time to go to the gym. I have to work on the business. I don't have time to cut out my meals and eat healthy. I have to work on the business. I have to order food. Like that was the constant
Yep.
hamster wheel I was on. And so I realized like this is not sustainable. Like the
Yeah.
other people that are 100 times more successful than me, they have this routine. They set aside time for the gym. And I think beginning of December is where I was like, okay, I need to change something. Like I'm the heaviest I've ever been. Like this is not sustainable. So I hired a nutritionist. I hired a personal trainer 4 times a week. I did all the blood work. I've never gotten blood work ever. I sent it over to my nutritionist. He's like, you are messed up. This is what we're gonna fix. This is what we're gonna work on. And so now every morning I try at least 3 to 4 times a week. I get up, I text my trainer I'm coming, and then that's it. Like that's my morning routine as of like a month and a few days.
That's so great. I love
And
that.
so do you know who Ryan Serhan is? He's the realtor on social, he's big on social media. And so he once said, he's like, just do the hardest thing you can in the morning. And for me, that's working out. It's like the hardest thing for me to do. It's like nothing else is going to be harder than this workout. And
It's
that's
true.
exactly what the mentality I've started doing. So every morning I get up straight to the gym, straight to